You know, there's something people almost never say out loud, but it's behind so many blocks, fears, and patterns. The fear of being seen. And at first, it might sound a bit strange. Like, what do you mean? I want to be seen. But let's slow down for a second. Wanting attention and being able to handle it are two completely different things. And this is where things get real, because consciously, you might want success, more money, recognition, growth. But deep down, there can be this strong feeling. If people really see me, it's not safe. And this isn't just a thought. It's a feeling, and it shows up in subtle ways. For example, you want to start something, a project, a business, a page, a new step. Everything is ready, but you delay. Then you delay again. Then you find reasons. Then you say, not now. From the outside, it looks like procrastination, but inside, it's fear. Fear of being seen. And here's the interesting part. You might not even know exactly what you're afraid of, because this fear doesn't speak directly. It doesn't say, I'm afraid to be seen. It shows up as, what if I fail? What if people judge me? What if I look stupid? But if you go deeper, it's all the same thing. People watching you, people forming opinions, you being visible. And here's something important. This fear usually didn't start today. It comes from past experiences, sometimes childhood, sometimes school, sometimes moments when you were criticized, laughed at, or rejected, and your mind made a simple decision. Being visible is not safe, and from that moment, it tries to protect you by keeping you small, by keeping you quiet, by keeping you in the background, and it does it in very subtle ways. Overthinking doubt, downplaying yourself. You almost dim your own light, so you don't stand out, so you don't risk being exposed. Now look what happens. You want more, but you stay hidden. You feel your potential, but you don't express it. You see opportunities, but you don't take them. Not because you can't, but because deep inside there's a belief. It's safer not to be seen. And this directly affects your success, because success always involves visibility. People see you. People hear you. People respond to you. And if that feels dangerous inside, you will avoid success, even without realizing it. Let me give you a simple example. Someone wants to earn more. They know they need to show their skills, put themselves out there, step into something bigger. But every time they get close to doing it, they stop. They can work hard, learn, prepare, but they don't take the visible step. Why? Because that step means exposure, and exposure feels unsafe. Or another example, someone wants to post online. They have ideas. They have thoughts. But when it's time to share, their mind starts spinning. What will people think? What if it's not good enough? What if no one understands me? And the result? Silence. Not because they have nothing to say, but because it feels scary to be seen. Now here's the important part. You don't eliminate this fear overnight, but you can start working with it. Gently, step by step. First, start noticing it. Instead of saying, I'm just lazy, say, I'm avoiding visibility right now. That alone changes a lot. Second, ask yourself, what is the worst thing that could happen if people see me? And don't avoid the answer, because that's where the real fear is. Judgment, criticism, rejection. And now understand this. You're not the same person you were back then. You can handle it now. You've grown, but your mind is still reacting based on the past. Third, start showing up in small ways. Not all at once. Gradually share a thought. Say something. Take a small, visible action. And every time you do, you teach yourself, this is safe. And something important begins to shift. You're not just acting. You're rewiring your internal experience. And over time, the fear starts to fade. Because now you have a new reference. A reality where you are seen, and nothing breaks. And at some point, you notice something quietly. You don't hide as much. You don't pull back as often. Being visible starts to feel normal. And that's the turning point. Not when fear disappears completely, but when it stops controlling you. If this resonated with you, write in the comments, "It's safe for me to be seen," and make sure to subscribe, because we're going deeper into this in the next videos. And yes, watch this again, not as motivation, but as a reset, because this kind of awareness unfolds in layers. And remember, you don't need to hide to be safe. You're allowed to be visible, and that's where your growth is. Because anything is possible.